Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. And then we have 8 people out of 10 cry at work. It is so ripe for what we're doing. And yet not many people take advantage of it. It makes me happy when I get emails, and then we verify the emails of people that never came to the seminar that got rich. That gets my nuts off. When this seminar started in 1993, and the Castle seminar, like we have one-on-one half an hour. 30 minutes is too much. I used to give 2 hours one-on-one. It was like psychotherapy. And then I went to 1.5. 1. Now 30 minutes. I think next year I'm going to give 5 minutes one-on-one. Because it doesn't do any good. Because at the end of the day, you only hear what you want to hear from me. Most of you in this room should turn, to the extent that you have a business, vis-a-vis if you're really serious about creating generational wealth, you should turn the key. Just close the motherfucker down and walk away and go like, no mas, like Roberto Duran said. Some of you that are going to turn your key on the business will take 6 months, a year, 3 years. And you could have been doing something positive during that same time frame. The 50 hours that you're going to spend here, see, the average age in here is, I believe, 39, if I remember correctly. Oh, yeah. No, average age 33. Oldest 49, youngest 19, average 33. So you've been around about 263,000 hours, maybe 275,000 hours. These 50 hours, more or less, you can change your life. Only if you want to. I read sarcasm in some of your homework. You got nothing to be... why you would think life is funny, I have no fucking idea. We're on dual parallel universes or something. Most of you, I said already, most of you shouldn't have been born, but at least some of you should have blown your brains out by now. And when I see you on the phones and during the breaks or in the morning, back when we created a lot of billionaires, we took your phones away. Just imagine not being able to talk for a week. We used to keep track in the late 90s, in the mid 2000s. Did anybody create any wealth on any phone call they made or received during the seminar? We had one person the 3 years that we did it. One. You can imagine the excuses that I got, and we used to put them in writing, why you needed to call so-and-so, or why you needed to take this call, or why you needed to be on this conference call. But when it got down to how much fucking money did we make, or you make, nothing. Most of the calls were because you didn't trust your employees for the stuff that you delegated to them. Or you didn't trust your wife. Or you didn't trust your significant other. I told you I have 3 phones, 3 toll-free numbers, and my kids have called me 0. 0, and they have to make an appointment to talk to me. We're going public with the company, and I'm not reading any of the drafts. If I don't have the right people in place, and we're going fucking public, then I might as well blow my brains out. I ask every morning, Kat, is there anything life-threatening? And she says, no. She scans them. You'd be on the fucking phone, adding no value. If you're really serious, and most of you aren't, about creating generational wealth, and when you start keeping track of everything you do every minute of the day in that report that you're going to get tomorrow afternoon, your phone calls will go down from, let's say they're 50, they'll go down to 5. If they're 10, they'll go down to 1. Because time's money. Just as when we used to do the one-on-one a couple hours, we had less people because I couldn't do 2 hours. If in those days we had 10, 12 people attending the seminar. It'd be better if you just sent me the money and didn't come. And I could do the seminars like Tony Robbins used to do in the 90s. And I have a big picture of myself, a video that's just a loop, same bullshit, loop, 3 hours. We had a loop during my 70th birthday in the bar. And it's from the time I was a little kid like that up there till the time I was 70. And it was about maybe 3 hours, I don't know. Cat and everybody put it together. But if you came in at the right time, you see me again, the same thing, but 3 hours later, but the same loop. Some people think that life's just a loop. Well, you can do it. And actually, we can go up to 77 because we've had people here 77 years old that turned a new leaf, so to speak. But it is harder. The older you get, the harder it is. And the sayings about a dog learning new tricks is absolutely true. For the young kids, it's like water off a duck's back, and that's why the 13, 14, 15, and 16-year-olds have it so easy because they don't have baggage like you. Remember that slide early the first day about that Indian guy with all the fucking shit he's carrying the baggage over and he's on a bike? For the guys that are 40 and over, that's you with baggage. Last night you saw Steve. I've never met Steve, but he's a alpha male, super salesman, and I hope you caught the fact he doesn't know anything about computers or software or anything. Nothing. And you guys want to know. You saw the tennis guy who knows nothing. And I can go on and on and on. And I told you the reason why you want to know so much detail is because you want to push it off. Because once you have enough information that you think you should move forward, now the pressure's on you. And most of you have a history of stepping on your dick, so you step on your dick again. Comments about Steve?
He's just a fucking salesman.
Amen. And for those of you kids that went to school and got degrees, your parents didn't send you to school to be a fucking salesman. When I was growing up, if their parents were salesmen, and they traveling salesmen were in my youth, 50s and early 60s. Your dad got on the road, he came back after 10, 15, 20 days. But the kids didn't say, my dad's a salesman. My dad's an industrial engineer. Or my dad's a this. Bus drivers were something else. Because the family was embarrassed that he was a traveling salesman. Your families will not want, I'm a salesman that have taken my sales skills to the very top. Your family, your wives, your significant others don't want to know you're a fucking just a scumbag salesman. And that's all you are. Don't delude yourself. When you make this program work, you're a salesman. Boy, I just said that your mama died. Looking at your faces. You're just a shitbag salesman. Very highly paid. What else about Steve? Yeah, again.
Recruiting people is the hardest thing.
You know, the currency of the day or the year or the century are people. Without good people, you got shit. And there's a reason why Google, Facebook have between a 7 and a 12 interview process for hiring. Because it's really important. And now, not like before, it's important that they fit into their culture. The culture would anybody in this room that's going to go out and start something new to create generational wealth, the culture will be from you down, the founders down. Google has a certain culture with the two founders. Microsoft had a culture beginning with Bill, and Obviously Ford, old man Ford, the first Ford, had a culture that still exists. So culture runs downhill, kind of like pee down the inside of your leg. He's a great CEO. He bought the Clippers, and everybody thought because he can't keep his mouth shut and he can't keep from jumping around that he would fuck up not just that team, but entire basketball. But much to everybody's dismay, he stayed out of basketball. And he's still currently, I believe, the largest shareholder in Microsoft, I believe. What else about Steve? Yes, sir.
He's very passionate and energetic in what he does.
Most of you in this room are like the wife that you fuck at night, a dead fish. We had a guy a couple of years ago, Israeli kid, and every question was directly or indirectly, and if you watch the YouTubes, how do you maintain your energy? Huh? How do you maintain your energy? He was dead from right now in the class, this time, and he just got deader. That's not a word, more dead, the longer the day went on. But he woke up dead. How do you maintain your energy? By this day in the seminar with him, I mean, the other people started mocking him. How do you maintain your energy? But Elon's got energy. Bill had energy. Now, these are introvert guys, okay? But Ballmer's got energy, and it's obvious because he's an extrovert, and he's an alpha male. It just shows. I don't know if it showed on the film, but before the other part of that YouTube, he said he was nervous because he knew this is going to be on YouTube forever. And he likes to say bad words. He didn't say one bad word. When I was at Oxford, I only said fuck twice. And then I caught myself and I turned to the moderator. You already did it, Mr. Peña. So I turned back, but I was pretty good. In the beginning, when I started pitching schools to speak at, we'd give them the Oxford tape. Because the Oxford tape, I seemed fairly calm. But it wasn't really me, but as I got rolling, I used more bad words and more bad words. Now the most popular one, flavor of the day, is University of Pennsylvania, the last one I did 2 years ago. What else about Steve? Yes, sir.
He mentions in both interviews that all you have to do is be a one-trick pony.
The big guys worry about if they're going to be a one-trick pony. I would pray to Allah. I would give a year off my life for you just to be a one-trick pony. I'm not looking for two-trick ponies or three-trick ponies. And I've got some guys that are two- and three-trick ponies. But yeah, one-trick pony, I'll be satisfied. You will have repaid me. And again, I think you've noticed, but I'll just reiterate it, puff smoke up my ass. Roberto and the Goomba brothers, I mean, they're thankful. Because even though they were pretty successful, now they're super rich. And there's a big difference. This morning when I was my arthritis is bad, I can't tie my shoes very well anymore. And so you constantly see me go like this. So somehow the puppy was up there and pulled my shoelaces out. So I'm trying to put them back in, and Sally's looking over at me. If I don't ask for help, I don't need help. So I finally get it. And I said, Sally, do you think about how we don't have a budget? And she stopped. Like I was going to make her stop spending money or something, I think. I don't know exactly, but she was putting on her tennis shoes. She kind of turned and looked at me and said, no, I don't really think about it. And I said, it's kind of special, isn't it? And then she says, it's extremely special. And I said, the kids that I'm getting ready to come out and talk, some of them, are living paycheck to paycheck. Hand to mouth, they used to say when I was a kid. And even though they don't call it hand to mouth, it is hand to mouth. And I said that we haven't experienced that in decades. But I still remember when I was poor like that, I still remember. I remember getting those little guns, which was a big expense. My grandmother gave them to me. My parents didn't. So I know even though it doesn't seem like I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. And I know the first cold call you're going to make, your stomach's going to be gurgling from nerves. And whether you throw up or not, like some of the kids do, or have, or still doing, that's, it depends on your own capacity for a pain. Not physical pain. Even though physical pain is not easy, but it's a hell of a lot easier than emotional pain. Emotional pain is the kind that's, when they stop beating you and they put you in bed and they give you a blanket or they don't give you a blanket, your body can recuperate until the next time they beat you. But with emotional pain, it doesn't go away. It just doesn't fucking go away. It's there. And the more that you learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and that's a tough concept to talk about or to sell. I'm not trying to sell it. I'm just telling you the kids that you heard, and we could have 500 of these webinars, have learned to take it, and there's a pain of the biggest pain is the pain of regret, that you didn't do it, or that you didn't do it enough. One of the reasons that I'm still charging hard towards the gunfire at my age is because as successful as I've been, as many of the kids like you that I've trained to be extremely wealthy, I still left a lot on the table. Still. And fortunately, because I'm healthy, but I work at it being healthy, I want to get a bunch done more before I'm 100. We've never had a man live past 94 in my family. So I'm going to be the first to be 100, and I plan on packing it in when I'm 120. And that picture up there of me down on the bottom is supposed to be me now, 90 and 100. And I'm not so sure. I don't want to look that bad when I'm 100, but anyway. What else about Steve? Yes, sir.
I think I heard him say board members are there to govern, not lead.
Correct. They're to govern. They're to keep you out of jail. And I mean that literally for some of the young guys. Because you can do some shit. I mean, when you own 60%, you have the control. And if the board votes against you, you just adjourn the meeting. You tell them you're all fired. You hold, or you ask to have an extraordinary general meeting 2 weeks later, and there's only one thing on the agenda: new board, new slate, and their names aren't on it. So as long as you have voting control, not board members, because if they've got 8 votes and you've got 1, that's not what I mean. But as long as you control the shares, like I keep yelling and screaming, you can't get thrown out as long as you maintain 50.1% of the stock. So you just call for another extraordinary meeting, and there's only one thing on the agenda. Of course, when you do that, they all know what's going on. So unless they plan on suing you, they can't sue you, or anybody can sue anybody, but they can't sue you and win if you have more than 50% of the shares. So even if they don't vote, even though you will, this afternoon and tomorrow when we talk about how you run a board meeting, you want all the votes to be unanimous in favor. Because when you go to court, when you go downtown, and the opposing lawyer is saying that this is a 5-4, all the things were 5-4 or whatever, because you intimidated and you bulldozed your way through, they can't say that when all the votes were 100% in your favor. Because they'll look at ways to chip away at your control. And we've never lost, none of you kids in 28 years have ever lost a battle for control that followed the steps. I should just have that printed on my chest. If you follow the steps, or tattooed on my forehead. And a couple of you asked me on the one-on-one, I know you say it a lot, Mr. Peña. And I said, yeah, I know, because, you're not going to do it. And some of you will not, historically, some of the kids don't follow the steps, not on purpose, because they either misunderstood, because they were thick. You don't have to be bright to do this, but if you don't understand, have your wife or your girlfriend or your mistress or your father read the fucking thing to make sure you understand what it means. If you follow the steps, it's impossible to get thrown out. And actually, if you follow the steps, it's impossible not to get rich. Rich, the low millions to the billions. And the billions are pretty articulate. They've got pretty good sales skills. And I told you the first day, if you get 5% of my communication skills, you're a billionaire. They don't have to be as smooth as me. And I don't always say fuck, cunt, shit when I'm talking. I know, I've met the Queen. I know how to talk. But it's more effective. And I know Prince Philip, who passed away, the Queen's consort for 70 years, he swore like a drunken sailor because he was a drunken sailor. Anything else about Steve? Now, the first thing we're going to do, we're secret sauce, we're going to go over the formula, because I want a day or two for you to sink in if you have additional questions. The formula for how we buy these things. And if you buy them this way, you're in like Flynn. Okay, YouTube, go fuck yourself.